As the series begins, we see Sheriff Boyd ringing a bell across a small town, which alerts the residents to wind up their businesses and return home, with some of them hanging a stone across their doors. When a guy named Frank is too drunk to return home before dark, his wife closes the windows of their house. Just then, her daughter Megan hears someone at her window, and it seems to be her grandmother, asking the little girl to let her in. Before the mother can stop Megan, she opens the window and the grandma transforms into an evil entity who attacks them both. The next morning, Sheriff Boyd is furious at Frank, who forgot to nail the window shut, which is why both his wife and daughter were brutally murdered. In the next scene, we see the Matthews driving cross-country in their RV, but they come to a halt when they come across a fallen tree blocking the road. As they take a detour, they come across the eerie town, where Sheriff Boyd instructs Jim Matthews to follow the road to reach the highway. Jim follows the road, but it leads him back to the town again. His wife, Tabitha, says he might have missed a turn, but when they find themselves looping back to the same town again, Jim gets frustrated and decides to drive the opposite way this time. While Sheriff Boyd and Deputy Kenny set up a spike strip for the returning RV, Jim encounters another car on the road which derails them, causing the RV to flip over and crash. The driver of the other car, Toby, manages to reach the town before he collapses, so Boyd rushes to the accident site while asking Kenny to arrange help. When Boyd gets there, he notices that the other passenger of the car, Jade, seems unscathed while Jim is stuck, and Tabitha is unconscious in the RV. Julie, their daughter, is unharmed, but the son, Ethan, is severely hurt. As Boyd helps Julie out of the RV, Kenny arrives with the local doctor, Christie, the priest, Father Kotry, and Ellis, Boyd's estranged son, since they need to help them before night falls. As Ethan is immobilized due to his wound, Boyd and Christie stay back with Jim and the boy while Kenny drives Julie, Tabitha, Jade, Father Kotry, and Ellis back to the town. However, he accidentally drives over the spike strip, so they run to the colony house just in time before it gets dark. Back in the RV, Jim seems to hear people calling his name outside, but Boyd warns him that the town is plagued with intelligent, shape-shifting monsters that kill humans for fun. However, as long as they have the magic stone hanging at the entrance, the monsters cannot enter uninvited. At the colony house, the leader Donna separates and restrains Julie, Tabitha, and the unconscious Jade, as per protocol for everyone's safety. Donna tells Tabitha how the mysterious fallen tree led all the residents into the town, trapping them as they are never able to leave. She further tells her about the strange, shape-shifting creatures that hunt in the dark and the mystical stones that keep the humans safe. On the other hand, Julie is uncomfortable in the presence of the oldest survivor of the town, Victor, and Fatima senses this, so she cuts her loose and shows her Ellis's drawings to help her calm down. In the next scene, Toby wakes up in the clinic where a young woman named Sarah brings him water. He asks if everyone is okay, and when she tells him no, he starts panicking, after which she kisses him and immediately stabs a knife in his throat. As it turns out, Sarah is being commanded by the voices who ask her to open the door after killing Toby, promising that they will let Sarah and her brother Nathan leave town in return. The monsters enter and brutally kill everyone, including Kenny's father. The next morning, the Matthews are reunited, and they bring Ethan to the colony house where he sees a mysterious boy outside, dressed in all white. Next, Kenny goes to the clinic where he notices the door wide open and the talisman on the floor, along with the mangled corpses inside. On the other hand, Father Kotry gives Jim and Tabitha a tour of the town and tells them of a local ritual called the Choosing Day, where they'll either choose to live at the colony house or a private home. During the tour, they come across a weird structure called the Box, a punishment chamber where the culprit is restrained for the monsters. It has never been used before in the town, but recently Frank's negligence led to the deaths of his family, and he is insistent on going into the box, though Boyd wants him not to. At the colony house, Ethan talks to Victor, telling him about the boy in white, and how he thinks the trees are closing in on the house, which surprises Victor. In the next scene, Jade wakes up, and when Donna explains everything to him, he simply laughs it off, claiming that this is all an escape room orchestrated by Toby. At the Choosing Day ritual, Julie decides to stay at the colony house against her family choosing to live in Frank's home. When Jade keeps creating scenes, Boyd restrains him, and Kenny takes him to Toby's grave, where Jade breaks down, finally coming to terms with the reality. Kenny brings Jade to his home before it gets dark, and as night falls, we see monsters approach Frank in the box and rip him apart. The next morning, Ethan and Jim visit the diner, where Victor shows him a drawing he made, whom Ethan recognizes as the boy in white. In a flashback, we learn that Victor was a boy when he approached the town, where he could see the corpses of the residents while the boy in white invited him to play. Just then, Jim warns Victor to stay away from Ethan. On the other hand, Julie is not too happy that they have to share everything at the Colony House and live communally, but she is happy to avoid her parents and also finds a friend in Fatima. Later, when Tabitha shows up, Julie yells at her, claiming that she knows that her parents were about to get a divorce after the death of their baby, Thomas. When Tabitha returns home, she has an argument with Jim, while Victor asks Ethan to help him find the boy in white. He takes him into the woods, bringing him to the faraway tree, which has an opening in it. Victor shows Ethan how the tree can teleport anything to any random place. Meanwhile, Jim and Tabitha search the woods looking for their son, but they are surrounded by wild dogs. Victor scares them away with a gunshot, and Ethan's parents bring him back to their home. In the next scene, Sarah is again possessed by the voices who ask her to kill Ethan, after which she has a seizure. While she recovers in the hospital, she asks Christy if she would do one bad thing if it means the whole town gets to return to their original homes. Christy thinks about her abandoned fiancé and agrees that she would. Meanwhile, Boyd thinks that the town can cause physical reactions in the residents, such as the seizures of Ethan and Sarah and the tremors in his left hand. On the other hand, Jim and Tabitha start writing the questions they want answers to, such as how the electronics have no wires in them, or how chicken and livestock magically appear at one edge of the town. They secretly conclude that they might have died in the crash and are now stuck in purgatory. At the Colony House, Donna realizes Victor is digging a set of graves, and he asks her to be prepared. Kenny shows Jade that this town does not have any fixed physical location, since the vehicles that show up have number plates from all over the country. Just then, the radio emits a static, and Jade walks out with it. In the next scene, Sarah goes to the Matthews residence and brings Ethan and Tabitha to the farm. There, she tricks Tabitha and locks her up in a barn. Meanwhile, Nathan confesses to Father Kotri about Sarah's actions that led to the hospital carnage earlier. When he learns that Sarah is not at the diner but at the farm with Ethan, he rushes there to save him. Before Sarah can hurt the boy, Nathan tries to stop her, but the scuffle leads to Sarah accidentally slitting Nathan's throat. Ethan runs away and is found by Julie, while Father Kotri finds Sarah freaking out over Nathan's lifeless body. As the townspeople show up, Father Kotri informs them that Sarah escaped into the woods, which is a lie since he is holding her captive in a cellar. Later, he tells her that Nathan told him everything about the voices and tells her his theory that God is testing the townspeople in order to formulate the 74th book of the Bible. When he asks her to prove that the voices are real and not something she has made up, the voices have Sarah draw a bag that Father Kotri buried when he first arrived in the town, and no one knows about it, except him. In the next scene, Jade heads over to Jim, asking for his help to repair the radio. They use Jade's car to get the necessary parts and head to the woods, where Jim climbs a tree to get a signal. Just then, Jade starts hallucinating and finds himself being chased by a Civil War-era soldier, so he runs away to the diner. There, he draws the strange symbol he saw at the tree in his hallucination. Kenny's mother, Tien Chen, recognizes the symbol from somewhere, and shortly after, she brings a discarded notebook with similar drawings, left behind by other people who came to the town. On the other hand, Tabitha finds her long-lost bracelet in Frank's home, and it spooks her since Jim lost that bracelet many years ago when Julie was born. Jim returns home to find Tabitha digging in the basement to figure out where the electric lines lead. Meanwhile, Boyd tells Kenny that he intends to venture into the woods for some answers, but Kenny stops him, since he just lost his father and doesn't want to lose Boyd too. Boyd lets him know that he might have an extremely rare case of early-onset Parkinson's disease, so he might as well get help for the townspeople while he can. When Boyd goes to meet Kotri, he tells her all about Sarah and the voices in her head and asks Boyd to take them along into the woods, as Sarah might be able to help them. In the next scene, we are introduced to Kevin, a resident of the Colony House who has developed feelings for one of the monsters whom he talks with every night. The next day, Jim asks Jade to help him build a proper radio tower, after which he continues the excavation inside his basement with Tabitha. On the other hand, Jim goes through the notebook and comes across an old photo of a boy that Tien Chen verifies as young Victor. On the other hand, the colony house celebrates 1 year since Fatima joined them. When Fatima kisses another girl, Ellis and Julie both become jealous. Later that night, Kevin is coaxed by the monster to let her in, after which she kills him and leaves the window open for other monsters. They infiltrate the colony house, killing many residents, while some escape in a van. Ellis and Fatima hang a talisman in the foyer to save themselves, while Julie and Victor run to the woods, following the boy in white. Once there, Victor asks her to get inside the faraway tree, which transports her to a root cellar. On the other end, the van reaches the sheriff's station. Just as Boyd and Father Khatri are helping the colony house residents get inside, a monster kills Khatri. The next day, Boyd approaches Sarah and tells her what the late Father Khatri wanted, so she accompanies him to the woods. On the other hand, Fatima encourages Ellis to make amends with his father. In a flashback, we see Boyd, his wife Abby, and Ellis driving into the town moments before nightfall. Father Khatri instructs them to follow him in a cellar, where they spend the night. The next day, they learn about the town's reality, and since Boyd's a veteran, he takes up the leadership of the town, helping the people survive. As he gets busier, Abby gets neglected, and her mental health declines. One night, Boyd seeks refuge in a cave inside the woods, where he discovers the talisman rocks that keep him safe from the monsters. When he returns to the town in the morning, he is shocked that Abby has opened fire at the townspeople, claiming she is stuck in a nightmare. Just as she is about to shoot Ellis, Boyd intervenes and kills her. Back to the present, Ellis reconciles with Boyd, and then the latter continues his journey with Sarah while Kenny becomes the new sheriff. Along with Donna and Jim, Kenny explains to the townspeople that they need to build a proper radio tower on the roof of the colony house. The townspeople gather as much wiring as they can to power the radio tower, but it fails. Since it lacks a proper power supply, Tien Chen suggests using electricity from the townhouses. In the next scene, Sarah and Boyd shelter at the cave and set it as their point of reference. Later, they find trees with hanging bottles, and then Sarah has a seizure. When she wakes up in a tent, she says that the voices asked Boyd to stop since the monsters are not the only threat in the woods. Boyd shows her a bottle that he retrieved earlier, which has paper scraps from 1864. Sarah mentions that the voice was different this time, as it was a female voice who addressed Boyd by a nickname only Abby knew. Just then, their tent is attacked by an unseen force. Once the attack stops, their tent lights up from the outside, while Boyd and Sarah hear a blaring horn. On the other hand, Ellis proposes to Fatima, who accepts, and Kenny shows interest in Christy, who tells him that she is already engaged. The next morning, Sarah and Boyd wake up in the part of the forest that is covered by spider webs. When Boyd mistakes a cocoon to be Abby, he is bitten by a spider, after which he starts hallucinating, but Sarah asks him to keep going. On the other hand, the townspeople get the tower working just as a storm is approaching. When Jim reaches someone through the radio, they address him by his name, saying that Tabitha should not be digging. While Jim rushes home instantly, Tabitha falls into a cave as the floor beneath her collapses. She is shocked to see Victor in the cave, who tells her that they are in danger as the caves are where the monsters sleep. On the other hand, Boyd and Sarah learn that a nearby lighthouse is what caused the bright light and noise last night. Suddenly, the boy in white appears and asks Sarah to get in the faraway tree. When she shoves Boyd into the tree, he finds himself trapped in a shaft. In the end, Jim reaches his house with no signs of Tabitha, while a bus arrives at the town diner amidst the storm. With that, the movie ends. Thanks for watching from Season 1. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Welcome, sci-fi fans. Futurist Flicks is thrilled to launch our exclusive membership program, designed for loyal fans like you. By joining, you'll unlock early access to recap videos, unseen recap videos, raffle prizes, free merch giveaways, exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insights, access to community events, live streams, and Q&A sessions. Join the Cosmic Crew today and get instant access to exclusive perks. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more intergalactic adventures.